We're going. Good morning. Welcome back to the show. I'm Chris McCarthy, and we're happy to have you joining us. I have a guest for about 20 minutes here, Cynthia Dantas, who is the executive director at Sibling Connections. And I want to have her in here because they do really important things for really important kids, and those are kids in foster care. And as we go into the holiday season, I think we want to keep everybody in mind. Now, growing up, we didn't have foster kids at our house, but my neighbors did. Mrs. Garino, a saint, worked at DSS. She may still be at DSS. I'm not sure, actually. They've moved, but she had foster kids. And so I grew up knowing kids in foster care. And so it's always kind of been important to me. How do we support those kids? What do we do? They need a little extra sometimes in different places. We can step in and help out. So in the process of doing that, I wanted to use my program to bring a little bit of that to your attention this morning. Good morning, Cynthia. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me today.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about Sibling Connections.
Sibling Connections is a Boston-based nonprofit, and we are focused on reuniting or reconnecting siblings who have been separated through foster care. Many times when kids are going into foster care, it's very difficult if there are 2, 3, 4 siblings to go into the same home, so they're separated,
right,
sometimes into even different regions, and so there are very few opportunities to see one another. So that's where we step in, and we provide programs to bring those siblings together, including a Camp to Belong, where we bring about 100 kids a year to a week of residential camp at a really high-end, wonderful camp, and they have a wonderful time together, as well as Sibling Sundays, which are one Sunday a month get-togethers in 3 regions of Massachusetts. So we try to hit most of Massachusetts.
So when you say you're Boston-based, but you do work with the kids down here?
We do.
Okay.
For our Camp to Belong, it's only 1 week a year, unfortunately, but we do recruit from around the state, including the South Shore region.
Okay. So you have kids from, the reason I say this is people are listening and they want to know, yeah, these are kids who are from our community or living here currently in our community. Those are some of the kids you're helping out. Absolutely.
We have a third program, Weekend Retreat, that's kind of a weekend of a camp, I guess I'd say.
Sure.
And we definitely recruit kids from New Bedford and surrounding areas.
So your whole mission is working with foster kids.
Absolutely.
Tell me something, because unless you know something about it, you don't know anything about it probably. You know, right? I mean, that's how life is, right? Mm-hmm. So we all have our own lane, our own situations. What are some of the common misconceptions about children in foster care?
I think what I've heard and seen are that people believe that the kids did something wrong, and that is simply not the case.
Boy, I think that's such an important thing. Say that again.
It's a misconception that kids who go into foster care have done something. It's a result of something they have done. Mm-hmm. It is clearly nothing that they have done. It is a result of parents not being able to take care of their children for a variety of reasons, which we can talk about in a bit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think that's so important, Cynthia, that it isn't the kid's fault.
Absolutely not. And, I'm an adoptive mother through foster care, okay, and I've been working with kids in foster care, and I just have to say they're regular kids,
right?
And they're funny, and they're smart, and they're sassy, and they want what everyone wants, which sure, is a loving home and right, parents.
I was going to ask you about that. Tell us how you got involved in this, Cynthia.
So it started for me. I was actually a big sister for 10 years, and the girl that I worked with went into foster care, and so that was my introduction to the DCF system and what happens to children in that situation, and it really got me more interested, and it led to my husband and I fostering our daughter. And the way it works, if you do want to adopt through the foster care system, you're placed for 6 months as a pre-adoptive foster parent, and that's to give the child an opportunity to adjust and the parents, and if it goes well, then you can finalize the adoption. And so that's how we chose to grow our family, and I think it's been a wonderful experience, and I would recommend that many more people consider this option.
We're speaking with Cynthia Dantas, who's the executive director of Sibling Connections, and they try to keep kids who aren't in the same families together, right?
That's right.
Is that the best way to put it?
Yeah, I think when kids go into foster care, it's a traumatic experience. No matter what the situation is, losing your parents, it's traumatic. And then on top of that, there's a second trauma, which is also losing your other family members. And I think when you've lost your birth parents, either temporarily or sometimes forever, your siblings become an even more important part of your identity and who you are. It's what you cling to. It's what you know. They're the only ones who've known you from birth and love you no matter what.
And so I think that's so important to stress, right? So you've lost the parents for whatever reason, and now you're losing your siblings. So there's that sudden instability.
Absolutely.
That sudden instability. And you folks at Sibling Connections are trying to keep that as best you can intact. The thing that's so important is they are children. They don't have any resources. They have rights, but they don't have they can't drive. They don't have any autonomy.
Absolutely.
So unless folks like you step up and help them out, they don't have it.
That's right. And fortunately, I think Massachusetts is on the forefront of this issue. And in 2016, there was legislation about the importance of sibling rights. And so it is becoming increasingly more important in DCF. The Department of Children and Families are putting more resources into making sure this happens, but they are tapped. They are they're so strapped for all the other things that they have to do that this doesn't always come to the top of their priorities. So we step in to provide that service to make sure siblings get to spend that quality time together.
What would you say to foster parents or foster kids who are listening to this program? And of course, folks, we're taping this, so if you have someone in your family or a friend or something you think could benefit from this message, this will be available later on WBSM's YouTube channel. We'll put this up, and so they'll be able to connect with it. What would you say to people who are children who are in foster care and foster parents about your program?
About our program, I would say that whether Sibling Connections or some other vehicle, it's really important to think about the child in your home, your foster child, and what would be helpful to them to repair the trauma that they've experienced, and to make time for them and to make the arrangements for them to have access to their other family members who are available, whether that's siblings or more extended family. Studies have shown that having that permanency of relationship helps with better outcomes, and outcomes like graduating from high school, attending college, not waiting longer to become parents themselves. So there are a lot of positive outcomes to having those connections.
We're speaking with Cynthia Dantas, who is the Executive Director of Sibling Connections, about foster care. So we have a lot of what we would call opinion molders and decision makers listening to this program. They listen to this radio station, people in politics. What message, if anything, do you have for people who are in decision-making roles, policy advocates, people who with control the budgets? What should they be doing for foster care, in your opinion?
I think they should be promoting foster care more, so more resources going into the foster care system, encouraging more people to want to become foster parents, because I think there are a lot of wonderful people out there who just have never considered it, but they have the resources. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to, if you have room in your home and love in your heart, you can make it happen. And I wish more people would consider it. So I think if politicians were out there promoting that message, I think that would help. Right now, there are thousands of kids in Massachusetts in foster care, and 2,800 who are waiting to be adopted, who are in foster care. So some are in foster care temporarily, but 2,800 are permanently in foster care until they find an adoptive home. So
2,800 children.
2,800 children need adoptive homes. So that's the first message I would give to policymakers. Help us find more loving foster care placements. The second is, what are the reasons that kids are going into foster care in the first place, and the more systemic problems that this leads to? And obviously the opioid crisis has seen a huge uptick in the number of kids going into foster care. So that's one, but I think it's a very complex and intertwined systemic issue, from education to home to poverty to social services programs. These all contribute, I think, to this end result that kids end up in foster care.
So if someone's out there and they're touched by this message, and how couldn't they be, but they don't have the ability to do foster care, but they want to help out with, for instance, what you're doing, Sibling Connections. How could someone help out with Sibling Connections?
So they could become a volunteer. We are a volunteer-run organization. We only have 2 employees, but we have 125 volunteers who take a week off of work to go to camp and have the best time of their lives. And they gladly take a week of vacation, and I still don't believe it myself, to spend with kids. And they've been doing it for 9-10 years in a row. It's like part of their life.
Sure.
So we also have Sibling Sundays. If you can't commit a week, you could commit 4 hours, one Sunday a month.
Okay.
We have weekend retreats. We are always looking for help with fundraising. There's opportunities in other ways. We don't currently have a Sibling Sundays in the Southeast region, but I would love to start that. So if someone wanted to get in touch with me and talk about that, that would be wonderful.
How does someone get in touch with you?
Our website is siblingconnections.org, and all of our contact information is right there.
Okay, so the website is siblingconnections.org.
Mm-hmm,
okay.
That's right.
Then that's how they can get in touch with you, with your organization, find out how they can get involved, how they can help.
Absolutely. Our email, our phone, everything's there.
If they just want to write a check.
That would be wonderful. Yep. Our address is right there.
And you're a nonprofit.
Yep.
You get all your paperwork, all that stuff. And you've been in business, you've been in operation for?
We've been in operation for 13 years. We're really small, so we are an established organization, and we are funded through foundation and corporate grants, individual donor giving, and we do receive some DCF funding for our camp.
And where do you do the camp? What are places that you've done it?
So we, believe it or not, we take our folks to Maine. Right now we rent a wonderful camp called Camp Matoka in Smithfield, Maine, and it's a lovely exclusive all-girls summer camp, and we come in at the end after their regular campers leave, and we rent it for a week, and it has all of the top-of-the-line things any camp could have, banana boats, paddle sailing, ropes course, you name it. So the kids have a lot of fun activities, but they also do some family repair activities. So a belated birthday party, we buy presents and the kids get to shop for their siblings and have a birthday party, because they don't get, these are things you don't even think about. They don't get to celebrate birthdays together or Thanksgiving together.
Didn't even think of it. No, you're right.
Yeah, no, they don't. So we try to provide those opportunities for them. We take photos throughout the week, and a wonderful company donates scrapbooks, and they do family scrapbooking, so they have photos of each other, because they don't have photos of each other because they don't live together.
You don't think of these things.
Yeah. So
at least I didn't.
Yeah. So it's things that we take for granted that kids in foster care don't have.
All right, so we're speaking with Cynthia Dantas, who is the executive director of Sibling Connections. And what they do, folks, is they run camps, but then you're trying to keep kids in contact with what's in some cases left of their family.
That's right.
And as you're pointing out, they don't get a chance to celebrate birthdays, but you guys try to fill that all in.
That's right.
And try to fill it all in. And you're saying you're looking to extend your program down here for your Sibling Sundays. Explain that.
So Sibling Sundays, we started our organization with our Camp to Belong. But after seeing how positive the experience was for the kids, the founder of our organization, her name is Judy Cockerton, quickly created a second program, Sibling Sundays, so that kids could see each other throughout the year. So once a month from October through May, we are in 3 regions right now: Greater Boston, the Lowell Lawrence region, and Western Mass, Springfield. And so once a month from October through May, the kids get together for about 4 hours, and we just do things like roller skating or trampolining and have lunch together. So we just give them that opportunity to do what kids do every weekend, which is have fun together and play. And our volunteers are chaperones, and they drive the kids to and from these events. So we rely, like I said, very heavily on our volunteers.
And one thing I want to point out, folks, is all these activities are free to the youth as well as to their foster parents, adoptive parents, right?
Absolutely. We don't charge anyone. We raise the money through, like I said, individual donations and grants.
Well, Cynthia, listen, this has been a wonderful interview with Cynthia Dantas from Sibling Connections. Again, what's your website? How do people learn more about your organization? How do they help out?
It's giving season. We are coming up on our holiday parties. We give gifts to all of our kids during our holiday parties. So if you would love to give...
Do not be bashful.
I will.
Don't hint. Just tell them what you need.
Money would be great.
Yep.
And siblingconnections.org is our website. We have an online donation button there. You can follow us on Facebook. You can just type in Sibling Connections and follow us and find out what we're up to. And you can get in touch with us that way as well.
Super. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed this segment. I really have it. This has been very touching, particularly here around the holidays, and really appreciate the folks that put this together for me. The young lady who produced it for me is at New Bedford Vocational Technical School and brought this to my attention. And our producer, Alexis, today, she produced this segment for us. So, again, I'll let you go. I know you have a big day in front of you here. But, again, I want to thank you, Cynthia, for coming in. And, again, it's folks at Sibling Connections. They're doing a great job. I would recommend that you take a look at siblingconnections.org. Have a great day.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, bye-bye. Folks, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back here on 1420 WBSM.